Medic has 4 mediguns, each with their own use cases and drawbacks. Let's take a look into how you can best use them, their balance, and what you can do if you're against them.
Stock!
The stock medigun. All reliable. Stock is as simple as it is good. Standard heal rates, 8 seconds of invulnerability, it's good in all situations. While other mediguns may perform better in some situations, stock is always there for you. The worst part about stock is the 40 seconds it takes to get an Uber. As for balance-wise, I and many others see it as perfect, not too powerful, and has its counters. If you find yourself against a stock medic, here's some things to know. One is that they still take knockback, so Pyro's Air Blast is extremely powerful at negating a stock Uber. This also goes for Demo Man's Loose Cannon, which can knock around the medic and his pocket, or other explosive weapons, which can do the same, albeit to a lesser effect. Another is that the 40 seconds in between an Uber is ample time to get a pick on them to make sure they can't pop. This is best done by a pick or flanking class such as Scout, Spy, Sniper, or even a Pyro or Soldier. If you find yourself against a stock Uber, and you don't have the tools to knock them around, it is a viable strategy to simply run away, as the stock Uber only lasts 8 seconds, less if he's switching heal targets. The stock medigun excels at large pushes and destroying sentry nests.
Kritzkreig!
But perhaps you want a more aggressive option. This is where the Kritzkreig comes in. The Kritz functions identically to the stock medigun in terms of healing and overheal. The difference is that instead of 8 seconds of invulnerability, the Kritz gives guaranteed critical hits, and it can get that Uber in a lightning fast 32 seconds. Much like stock, the Kritz is a very well designed side grade, trading sustainability for an incredible damage output. If you're against a Kritz medic, here are some tips for staying alive. If you're an engineer, take shelter behind your buildings, as your buildings do not take critical hits. You can also negate the crits by using a soldier's battalion's backup, or with a Vaccinator medic's Uber. The medic and his pocket are fully vulnerable to damage even while Ubered, so if you find yourself face to face with a pair, it is worthwhile to try to pick off the medic or pocket to cut short the Uber. Classes with high mobility are good at this, as they can dodge, taking now triple damage. Classes like Scout and Soldier are very good at this. Sniper can also try to pick them off from afar, and a Spy can backstab them for an instant kill. The Kritzkreig is good for both pushes big and small, though it does fall short with engineers and for keeping the medic himself alive.
Quck-Fix!
But maybe you want a more interesting medigun. Enter the Quck-Fix. The Quck-Fix differs a lot from stock. It comes with a 40% faster healing rate, which is incredibly noticeable, though it comes at the cost of only being able to overheal half the amount of its contemporaries. Additionally, you inherit the blast jumps and shield charges of your pocket, which is useful for keeping up with your healed target and for tricky movement or leaving a fight in a tricky situation. The Uber gives you and your pocket full immunity to knockback, including air blast and slowdown, such as the Natasha or Sandman, as well as healing both of you at triple healing rate, a cozy 100.8 health per second. This Uber is charged in roughly 37 seconds. Balance-wise, the Quck-Fix is in an okay spot, being a bit weaker than the two aforementioned mediguns. One change that could help to make it better without being overpowered would be to tweak the Uber charge to still grant full overheal. This would make it partially resistant against some bursts of damage, but still remain weak against sustained damage. And it would further the Quck-Fix's utility for the medic himself, as he can grant himself a bigger safety net once the Uber wears off. If you're against a Quck-Fix medic, here's some tips to make sure you can come out on top. Running away is ineffective, as a pocket and the medic can quickly catch up to you using the medic's mirroring abilities. Keep an eye out for who they're pocketing, and plan accordingly. The medic and his pocket are not invincible, just tanky. If you can sustain enough damage, such as with a minigun or flamethrower, the duo will fall. You can also use burst damage to kill them, such as a well-placed sticky trap or critical hits. Sentry guns in a hard-to-reach spot are also a great counter, because the lack of cover will cause one or more of the Uber pair to die. The Quck-Fix is good at keeping you and your team alive, making small pushes or to hold the line, but suffers greatly from sentry guns and large pushes as is quickly overwhelmed.
Vaccinator!
The Vaccinator requires a far more proactive approach to playing medic. It gains full Uber in a blazing fast 24 seconds with a total of 10 seconds of Uber charge. This is due to how the Uber charge is divided into 4 sections, each lasting 2.5 seconds. Also to note is that the Vaccinator is noticeably worse at giving overheal, but gives a passive 10% resistance to the selected damage type. This damage type can be cycled from bullet, explosive, and fire by hitting the reload key. The Uber grants crit immunity to the damage type as well as a 75% resistance to all non-critical hits of that damage type. The Vaccinator keeps you on your toes and demands fast reactions to the current situation. Some say the Vaccinator is overpowered, citing the incredibly fast charges and damage resistance which borders on invulnerability. One suggestion would be to tone down the resistances to a more tame 66%, and to increase the time it takes to gain Uber charge. If you find yourself against the Vaccinator medic, here's how you can avoid dying. The Uber charge is gained fast, so the medic will be willing to pop far more often. Keep note of this and try to find downtime. Because the Uber only protects against a specific type of damage, consider using multiple damage types if possible. This may force retreat or require that the medic pop another Uber charge. The Vaccinator does not protect against melee, so it can be a good last resort option, but this also means that Spy is a very viable counter, as well as a flanking Demo Knight. The Vaccinator is incredibly good at most tasks. Just try to keep a healthy distance between you and your enemies to ensure they don't get in melee range. Hopefully you can deal with medics a little easier, now armed with the proper knowledge of how to counter them. Or perhaps you are the medic and can now take better account of your weaknesses and strengths and play accordingly around them.